All right, everybody, welcome back. We have another hour-long tech support live here. It's Sunday, Friday. It's not Sunday. It's Friday. I hope everybody's having a good day, and I hope you're all ready for an hour of educational content. As per usual, please ask all your questions in the chat. We're here to help you out. For all those new viewers, I'm Alec. I'm an interactive media specialist here at NETGEAR, which means I do a lot of design, and I'm joined with Ben, Darren, and Michael. Ben, if you want to introduce yourself.
Yeah, hi, I'm Ben Acevedo. I'm the Nighthawk Pro Gaming Brand Experience Manager. So I deal with everything with Nighthawk Pro Gaming and that line. And I'm here just to answer your PS4 questions. I'll throw it over to Darren.
Hi, I'm Darren. I'm a customer support specialist and community moderator. I deal with any tech questions with any of NETGEAR's home products.
Cool.
All right, and I'm Michael, Technical Marketing Manager. I do a lot of the trade shows when we used to have trade shows, and I get to play with a lot of the new products that we have, do a lot of beta testing, and I'm here to help answer any questions.
Cool, cool. Sorry, I had some stuff pop up over my face. Don't look at the stream. But
I just got the hey
notification. I snoozed it for 4 hours, so we should be good. But if it cuts off, you know why. But anyways, welcome back, everybody. This is our favorite hour of the week. We all love coming on and talking to you guys. So, without further ado, it looks like we do have some questions in the chat, so we'll catch up on those, and then, if we're all caught up, we'll have some casual conversation. Firstly, welcome to everybody who is returning. We have Angelo in the chat. What up, Angelo? Great to have you here. We have Hamad, one of our regulars here. Anybody else have anybody to call out as a regular? I'm really bad at names.
Ricky Kendall Blake is back for the second week in a row, thanks to a unique feature that is that little bell down below that you can,
yes,
that you can click. So
yes, every time we go live, if you have the bell icon clicked, you'll know. Then also, as per usual, we have to say, if you're enjoying the show, please do like it. It helps us, gain some visibility and get more people to join us, which we love to have. Love to have more people here to help. So, without further ado, let's jump in. First question here is from Ricky B, who says, my Nighthawk R960P had problems before. Worked great for 6 weeks after advice from the tech group and Michael E. I started having problems again. Factory reset and reloaded the firmware. Now it works fine. Mounted on the wall for 1 day and reset the factory settings. Re-uploaded the firmware. Worked fine for a couple hours. He reset the factory settings again and reloaded the firmware again, and it doesn't work anymore. Okay, and it looks like he's just having the same problem that he originally had.
Unfortunately, it's sounding a lot like a hardware failure, and it possibly could be corrupted memory that's actually damaged, since whenever he reloads the firmware up until the very last time, or doing the factory reset, it started to work again. But it looks like the problem was getting worse and worse every time that he did it, which definitely points towards either a hardware failure or the device possibly overheating. But I rule that out because at the very last time that he did the factory reset, it didn't come back up at all. So obviously moving it from its location to do the factory reset, it could have cooled down. But at this point, it sounds like the hardware is just starting to fail.
Yeah, and that is a reality of electronics, is after a while they do fail, especially with routers, something that's up, typically 24/7. Ricky, I would encourage you to reach out to our support team, see what can be done regarding, if you have a warranty or something. If not, we're happy to suggest another product. Let us know. Let us know what you think. We're here to chat. So.
Yeah, it just seems like the fixes were working, and then it just it's really hard, especially with products that are on 24/7 all the time, doing electricity running through there. There is some failures, but I agree with Michael. It sounds like there's some sort of corrupted memory, because it worked and then it started not working.
Yep. And if you've got if you have some bad bits in the memory where they're just starting to fail, that by overwriting it, it got it up and running again, but the bit was starting to fail a little bit more. And each time you overwrite it, you're putting, a little bit more wear and tear. And it finally gets to the point where that bit just isn't going to work anymore.
And it gets to a spot where it causes a cascade of other issues.
Totally. But I think something that is
a bummer way to start the day.
Yeah. I think one thing that you do have going for you, Ricky, is that you did decide to wall mount your router. And so if you still have the wall mount available, put your next router on the wall. It's going to be giving you better, heat optimization. It's going to get better airflow on the wall. So I think it's really smart that you put it on the wall, and whatever you get next, definitely put it on the wall. I think that's going to help a lot with longevity. So
that's a tragic way to start the day.
Very sad first question, but Ricky, let us know what your thoughts are.
Under warranty but can't find receipt. Write us at #StayConnected.
Yeah, send us an email, and we'll see how the team can help you out. But
and also with your receipt, if you don't have the actual physical paper copy, if you purchased it from Best Buy, you could have them print you up a new one. If you purchased it through Amazon, you can get the receipt online at Amazon. Worst case scenario, if you purchased it with a credit card, you could go out to your credit card and try to get it at least that printed out, showing that you purchased it from NETGEAR or Amazon at a certain time, and support might be able to accept that.
Yeah. Just send us whatever you can, and we'll try to help you out. Yep. But very sorry to hear that your router has died. It is a tragic day when the router dies.
Well, my UPS died very quickly last week, where it decided battery didn't want to charge, and it had a electric line fault light on the back, and there was nothing I could do to bring that thing back. So for an entire week, I had to run my system without a UPS, which is never good, especially up here in the mountains where the power can go out with the fires we've had and things like that. So hardware does die.
Yeah, I had a one of those suction vacuums, those hand wand ones. I'm not going to say what brand, but
what?
It just
like a regular vacuum.
Yeah, like a vacuum.
Okay. All right, I'll say the name Dyson. There you go.
But yeah, that thing, it worked amazing, and then one day it just died.
Yep.
And I took a look, and they had it had I think a blue blinky light or something like that one on the website, and how to correct the blue blinky light, and the page was basically, I'm sorry, there's nothing you can do.
It's just destroyed.
Yes.
All right, well,
but I got another one.
Let's talk about something joyous instead. Let's go
move
to the next question. Let's keep it going. We have a joyous question coming from Kendall, who asks, when will that COD related setting be available for
Call of Duty, not fish.
Not fish, yeah. Call of Duty. Be available on what I'm assuming is going to be Doom OS 3. So I think
Doom OS 3.0.
Yeah.
We're adding them all the time. We should be adding them pretty soon. I didn't speak with the team this week, but I will next week, and I'll have an update for you next Friday. We'll see when we can get that. Because there's going to be two things with COD coming up. Not only is there the changes to Warzone with the final season 6, which includes subways out of all craziness, and 3 or 2, I don't know where I'm at. Call of Duty Cold War is going to start gearing up in about the next month and a half. So there's a lot of COD related settings that we're going to have to start looking at. And so I will have an update for you, Kendall, next week.
And Kendall's got notifications on. The
Yep.
bell has been clicked,
The
so
bell.
Excellent.
you'll be here next week. You'll know. Okay, so question from Renee Gonzalez, who says, I noticed the XR1000 is very slow. I'm not getting all my internet speeds. Always takes forever to load Duma OS. Any updates coming out soon to speed up the operating system? So
that should not be happening.
yeah, that should definitely not be happening. Renee, sorry, hold on.
Well, and I would also ask on when they say takes forever, is that just, extrapolating, or does it really take a very long time?
Very long time.
Yeah, because the Duma OS does take longer than a standard OS to come up when you log into it. But if it's taking you 30 seconds or 45 seconds to load, then yeah, that's too long. If it's taking 15, 20 seconds, I wouldn't be as surprised.
Yeah, mine, it takes about like 5 to 10 seconds to pop up because there's a lot to load up.
Yep.
Yeah, what firmware are you running? You should be running 10044 dash 1033. That's the latest right now.
Yeah, and Renee, I think something else that might benefit the conversation is letting us know, what modem do you have? Just give us a little bit more information about your Wi-Fi setup in general, and we can see, maybe there's a bottleneck somewhere else in the setup, because the XR1000, it is a brand new product. It is rated for very high speeds, so there might be something else causing an issue aside from that product. So give us a little bit more information. We'll try to help you out.
Yep, and I saw we skipped over a question from Hamad asking whether it's better to create I'm assuming RJ45 connector with pliers or with a crimper. And that's an easy answer, with a crimper.
Yeah.
Because unless you have pliers that are micro thin, so they could fit in each one of the grooves where the pins are in your RJ45 in connector, you'd never be able to crimp them down well enough to actually bite into the line properly. You really want the crimper because there's 8 lines on an RJ45, and it's got to crimp all of those down onto each one of the 8 individual wires. And yes, I've made many, many wires of my own at home.
And also, Josh, our updates on Duma 3.0 for XR700. The dev team is working on it. We should make an announcement in a matter of weeks.
Cool. Yeah, these, all these questions about Duma OS 3, something to realize is that there are a lot of moving parts with launching the software on 3, routers plus the XR1000. So,
and then Texas Elite on the beta. When is the beta over? It's in public beta right now, but it's probably going to be out of beta stage and be official pretty soon, probably in the next, I would say easily by the end of the month.
Cool. Okay. Let's see what else we have. We have a question from David, a little bit of a techie question. So he asks, if I have an EAX80 in access point mode connected to a non-Netgear router, which does not have its own Wi-Fi, what are my options for a guest Wi-Fi network, SSID? Dave, we don't necessarily support, other routers, but to give you some insight on what I think might work is definitely go into the settings on your current router. And you're going to be going to, 192.101. What is it, Michael? .1.1, something like that.
Yeah, it's 192.168.1.1 is the default, or the next one things usually fall back to is 10.0.0.1. But his particular comment there is he said his non-Netgear router doesn't have its own Wi-Fi, which is the reason why he's using the EAX80 in AP mode.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay.
Yeah, he's basically got it wired in with AP mode, and he wants to know, is there any options for guest Wi-Fi? And unfortunately, there isn't. All the EAX80 is going to do is just duplicate what you would normally have, and it doesn't have its own guest Wi-Fi that it can create. It only uses what your main router has when it's trying to emulate your router's Wi-Fi. So no, there's no way to actually turn on a separate guest network in the EAX80.
But if he found the setting in his router, would that not apply
Right.
to the EAX80?
Except he says his router doesn't have its own Wi-Fi.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, and if it's not a tri-band router, then it wouldn't have a guest network anyway.
Got it. Okay. And I'm assuming if it doesn't have Wi-Fi, it's probably not a tri-band router. So.
Exactly.
Okay. Well, you know, hate to be this guy, but might want to get a NETGEAR router.
That's it.
Yeah.
Push the NETGEAR routers.
He could get a NETGEAR router instead of an access point, and then make it into an access point, and then it has the guest Wi-Fi option.
And then at that point, you could even set up a mesh network with the EAX80, which is, which is our best extender that we sell right now. So if you were to get a Wi-Fi 6 router and pair that with the EAX80, you'd have some pretty solid coverage, and you'd have a Wi-Fi 6 network everywhere, which is perfecto.
Yep.
So, Dave, sorry we couldn't help you out with the guest network. Othman says, hello, NETGEAR, Nighthawk Bros. What's up? Glad to have you. Let's see. Question here from Blending with Henry. Blending with Henry. Do you have like a Vitamix channel? That sounds pretty cool. I love my Orbi RBK 852 and CM 2000 package. I'm getting 1200 megabytes down with my one. That's a lot. 1200 megabytes down with a 1 gigabyte plan. Wow. We should do like a feature on you. That's some killer. Those are some killer numbers. My question is the Nighthawk. My question is the Nighthawk router states 64-bit processor. Does the Orbi have a 64-bit processor? It is not stated. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm not sure which processor. Wait, no, I'm looking right here. Orbi quad-core ARM. It would have to be a 64-bit if it's a quad-core processor that I'm looking at here. So yes, most likely it is a 64-bit because there'd be no reason for them to be using a 32-bit at this point in the system.
Cool. Okay. Yeah, I think it's pretty. That's just a safe assumption. The Orbi is Orbi RBK 850 anything is our very, very top of the line home product. So I would assume it would have the best processor. So it probably has 64-bit. So hopefully that answers your question. Let us know if there's any follow-ups. And Blending with Henry says he does have a Vitamix channel. So I got that right.
All right.
Cool. Well,
nice.
you know, I hope it's running well. All right. Othman, our Nighthawk bro, asks, the XR1000 in the technical specifications should have an adapter that is 110 to 240 volt, but I only received a 110 to 120 volt. Thankfully, my old router has the same output. All fine now. So it sounds like that you're having an issue with your adapter. The adapter in the box should work just fine.
Yeah, the reason why it's 110 to 240 is because it takes different power adapters in different parts of the world.
Got it. Okay.
Right. What he's saying is that the spec says that it is a switching power supply 110 to 240, but he only received one that supports 110.
Right, which is the North American.
Right. And with the US model, they may have gotten that wrong in just saying that this is the total range for the XR1000, not the US model in particular. Because we do regionalize a lot of our power adapters. And some of them have the switching from 110 to 220 or 240, but a lot of them are region specific. So if you buy one over in Europe, it's going to be the 240. You buy one here, it's going to be the 110.
Okay. Gotcha. Cool. So hopefully that answers your question. If you wanted to switch back to the one that was included in the box, it would still work, but it sounds like what you've got going now is working fine as well. So if it's not broken, don't fix it. So that aside, we have a question from Kendall who says, how does the XR1000 compare to the AX5400? What are some of the major differences? So the AX5400, let me look that up. That is our RX 50. So that is a great router. All of our RAX routers, I personally always suggest. I think they're solid systems. However, if you are a gamer, you're not going to be getting Duma OS 3.0 on the AX 5400, and there's no way to load it. It is proprietary to the XR1000. We do have a virtual event all about the features on that software. I think that's worth watching and evaluating if it's worth purchasing.
Yeah, so the major difference that you're going to see is like the AX 5400 is a great a great Wi-Fi 6 router. Now think of this as the Nighthawk Pro gaming routers. If you're familiar with cars, let's just say that the AX 5400 is your stock Mustang, and your XR 1000 is your Shelby Mustang. You know, they're very similar in the fact that, you know, where they started out, but the performance that you're getting out of the XR 1000 is going to be a lot more than the 5400.
And it's more of like a customization where if you buy a stock car and then you customize the heck out of it, then you end up with a much better vehicle and a lot fancier. And the XR 1000 is definitely, you know, fancier with the Duma OS and a lot of the configurations that you can do on it. So yeah, it just depends on what you want.
Cool. Yeah, I think that's a good explanation. It's really just going to give you more streamlined control over your network, which is great for gaming. I mean, I don't have an XR1000 yet. I do plan to get one, but I have an XR500, and I love having that control over my network. I used it previously when I wasn't hardwired. Now I am hardwired to internet, but previously when I wasn't, I'd always use that QoS when I stream to give more bandwidth to my laptop. Stuff like that. I mean, that isn't even gaming related, but I have that control, and I think it's worth the premium over, the
I think it
RX
is.
50.
And the reason is that, you know, with multiple gaming devices in my house, in the previous version of Doom OS, you could only prioritize one device, and now you can actually prioritize like genres of device. So our application QoS, which was our bandwidth allocation before, you could actually drag out for gaming, live stream, web, file sharing, chat, VPN, VoIP, enterprise, media, and you can do that on the upload and the download. So if you are a content creator or a streamer, you can prioritize gaming on the download, and you can prioritize live streaming on the upload. And what that does is it ensures both traffic is going to get prioritized, and that means you're going to get higher bit rate and still have uninterrupted gaming.
There you go.
Just the ability to customize and control your local network on that sort of scale is worth the difference. It's
Definitely.
a $50 difference, but it's completely worth it.
And how often nowadays do you purchase software with a one-time purchase? You just don't do that anymore. It's always subscription. So to be able to get something like Duma OS baked into a router at that base price and not have that recurring payment is it's valuable.
Yeah.
So
and that's just one of the features. You know, if you're more of gaming, there's tons more features, and I really think of it as a tool set, not just a feature set. There's a lot of tools that help you examine, analyze, find where your servers are, and then actually apply that to the servers.
Cool. Okay, so a question from Hamad here, and I did do a little research. Any new mesh repeaters released by NETGEAR? So we call them satellites, but I think I get what you're saying. Yes. So currently we have the the EAX80 and the EAX20. And I can't speak to specific products coming out in the future. I'd get in trouble for that, but I want to let you know that NETGEAR as a brand is focused on Wi-Fi 6. So if you look at our Wi-Fi 5 portfolio, of extenders, you'll see that there's many more than just the 2 that we have in Wi-Fi 6. So we do plan to expand that. And same goes for routers. We're going to expand the Wi-Fi 6. Our portfolio for Wi-Fi 6 is going to continue to expand. So with regards to repeaters or satellites, you should be seeing some Wi-Fi 6 products coming out in the future. So keep an eye out for that. We like to provide different price points. So we're going to kind of fill in the gaps without giving too much away. That's the best I can say. And we have some praise for Michael here from Ricky, who says, my daughter and son-in-law bought the CM1000 and RBK53, and they love it. They had excellent reception out by the pool without getting an outdoor Orbi. They installed the satellite by the door.
Excellent.
And they say thank you for helping out.
Yeah, I was working with him offline, giving him some suggestions. And with the Orbi, he wanted additional Wi-Fi out by the pool as well as the coverage for the house. And I gave him the options of either putting one of the satellites on the inside wall right before you go out to the pool. And if that still wasn't giving enough coverage, to go with the outdoor Orbi and add that into his network. And it sounds like option 1 worked great. But there was always the option 2 of the outdoor Orbi if you need outdoor coverage that covers a very large area and it's weatherproof, sun, wind, rain. So it's a nice option if you want to get a lot of Wi-Fi signal outside.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing about the outdoor Orbi is, like you said, it's got that weatherproofing, it's got that massive range, but obviously that comes with a premium. So, it's good that you were able to swing it with just the RBK 53 because, we are aware, and I'm sure you consumers are aware, that the outdoor Orbi is expensive. So, way to save money. Conscious buying. That's what we like to see. We're happy to support it. Cool. Question for Ben. Has NETGEAR considered introducing customizable accessibility features in the firmware? I'm assuming for Doom OS 3.0.
And didn't this question come up a couple weeks back where they were talking about accessibility features for people that are colorblind, that sort of thing?
Yeah. We talked about that, and those are going to be accessibility features is something that is on the roadmap. I'm not exactly sure where, but we have discussed it. So that's all I can say at this point in time. But I do think it's a good suggestion. So.
Yeah, but I mean, I think it's cool that it's even on the roadmap, because before we had the conversation here on Tech Support Live, it might not have been. So, thanks to all of our viewers for these suggestions. And, sometimes they might come true. So, good to hear from you guys. Okay. Kendall says, I have a Motorola modem currently, but I'm thinking of switching to a NETGEAR modem. Is the only difference between the CM 1000 and CM 1200 2 gig versus 1 gig? Any additional Ethernet ports? So Kendall, I believe you had mentioned you're having issues with your XR 1000, and I do think, judging by the fact that you have what I assume is an old Motorola modem, I don't even think they make modems anymore. That's probably going to be your bottleneck with your whole Wi-Fi system. So I would suggest getting a NETGEAR modem. And now you do mention the CM 1000 and the CM 1200. I believe the CM 1000 is DOCSIS 3.0, and the CM 1200 is DOCSIS 3.1. There are a lot of benefits to DOCSIS 3.1. I'm not the guy to tell you about them. I think Michael or Darren could do a better job than I could. But that technology, I think it's worth to buy the newest technology if you can swing it. You want to give the breakdown on what DOCSIS 3.1 does?
Well, basically, DOCSIS 3.1 adds additional lanes of data traffic to and from your ISP. So that even if you only have, let's say, a 500 meg data package, you could possibly get more than 500 simply because it can utilize more lanes of traffic that the ISP is offering. And it also means that it'll have less congestion with your neighbors when they're trying to use the connections as well on those same sort of lanes of traffic. So it's a more robust connection. You'll have less time when the speeds are going to slow down because of the other people being on that local segment of your ISP. So basically your neighborhood, or like if you were in a big apartment complex, probably pretty much in the apartment complex is going to be using the exact same trunk line that you're connecting through to your ISP. So there's going to be a lot of traffic there. So the more lanes you have, the better. Also on the CM1200, there are 4 Ethernet ports on it, while the CM1000 only has a single Ethernet port. So if you wanted to connect directly to the CM1000, you can. And cool. Yes, speeds as well. If you have speeds over a gig line, then the CM1200 can actually support that, while the CM1000 would only go up to the gig. But there's very few people that get more than a gig on their lines right now.
Yeah, something to note is, we do advertise that you can get up to 2 gigabits per second, but that's all contingent on whether you're paying for that much speed. So if you are only paying for, a gigabit, which is pretty much the most you can pay for, you're not going to be getting 2 gigabit speed. That's just like what we get in our labs.
Yep.
Now, something to know is a lot of the time with the DOCSIS 3.1 modem, I personally have the CM1200. You do get more than you pay for. And we had somebody early in the chat mention that they're getting 1,200 megabytes down when they only pay for a gigabyte. So you could get more than a gig.
I get 80 more than what I'm paying for. I get 680 instead of 6.
There you go. Yeah, I think the DOCSIS 3.0 or 3.1, it really milks the internet. You really get more than you pay for, which is great. So.
Yep. And if your ISP in the future is offering plans, higher than a gig, then at least you already have the hardware for it.
Mm-hmm. Cool. All right. So moving on, we have a question, or we have a comment from Othman or Oathman. I don't know. Good to report that after upgrading to the XR1000, my internet jitter or lag improved from 7 milliseconds to 0.7 milliseconds. And the gaming experience is very satisfying and a noticeable improvement. That is
nice.
That is impeccable speed.
Yep.
This is another person we should feature, a success story.
Yes,
if you will. Good stuff.
A 10 times improvement. That's awesome.
That's awesome. Yeah. Okay. What is the Wi-Fi range on the XR1000? I believe it's 2,500 square feet.
Well, I think that's actually the coverage. If you're looking for the range, that's really going to be dependent on what's in between you and the client device, also which channel that you're on. As a rule of thumb, if you're on the 2.4 gigahertz band, that can go out to about 300 feet line of sight. And you're obviously going to get far less of that if you're in a house because you have to go through multiple walls. And the 5 gigahertz, you're going to get much less than that because it's a shorter wavelength, so it doesn't go as far, but you can push a lot more data. Normally, that's the reason why we talk about what is the coverage area? How much of a house can it cover? Because the actual distance from point A to point B is really going to be variable by too many factors that you could actually say, yeah, we know it's going to go out 25 feet from the router or 50 feet from the router. But just as a rule of thumb, on the 2.4 gigahertz, 300 feet line of sight, you start putting walls in it, it's going to drastically be pulling it down. So looking for coverage of a home, yeah, definitely go with what Alec was saying on what's the square footage of your home. And I always like to get my devices so they'll cover at least 20 to 25% more than the square footage of the home, just so you have that extra buffer because you don't know what the home's construction is going to be like.
Totally. Yeah, I know for me personally, I believe this house is 2,400 square feet, and I have the whole thing covered with an XR500. I do have an EX9000, and I offered to install it upstairs for my roommates, but they were like, "It's fine. You don't even need to." Cool. So, it really depends. I don't know how thick the walls are in this house. Maybe they're thin. Hard to say.
You'll find out.
If it works, if it's not broken, don't fix it.
Exactly. Yeah. All right. Let's see here.
Yeah, and Hamad mentioned that he was looking specifically on the accessibility features of font size. And
yeah, changing up on font sizes, that I think you can adjust that slightly right now by adjusting resolution that you have in your browser. But
yeah, font size is one of the hardest things to actually adjust when you've got a layout. Think kind of like on a newspaper, is if you only have so much space for the information and then you change the font size to something bigger, you no longer have enough space for all the information that has to go in there. It takes a lot of work to design interfaces and have all the words stay in the right place. And we notice it when we have to do translation, where we're translating from like English to French or Chinese, and some languages require a lot more space, and you've suddenly run out of the box that you had set aside for the space of that particular text. So font size is definitely harder to do than any of the other accessibilities like color or even placement of objects.
Yeah, font size is definitely, like, especially in translation. When I was on Pac-Man, we always had difficulties translating into German, because German tends to, if you have 20 characters in English, it's about 35 in German.
Yes.
And it was always just trying to, well, okay, what's another name for this map that we could choose that is smaller, that will make the same amount of sense? And so, right now, background color, we'll look at that. They're on the roadmap is themes and that sort, which will allow you to change all that going forward. But that hasn't been implemented. Right now, we're really concentrating on trying to get the 3.0 out on the 700 and get it stable on the 500 and get it out on the 700 and 300.
Cool. So hopefully that's a good little
are
update
all,
on the
those
roadmap.
are all great accessibility suggestions. And down the road that we can definitely look at putting those in. But for us, the biggest goose to fry is getting Duma 3.0 out on all of the Nighthawk Pro gaming routers as quickly as we can. Cool. And I just want to say, Othman 007, yes, that thing is super strong. I've noticed with mine, it just blows through concrete like Superman's heat vision. It's pretty amazing.
Cool. All right. So next question here is it's going to be for you, Ben, from Skill Nasty, who says, whenever I play a game on the geofilter, it shows a dedicated server in a different country. It seems it's pinging off that one and the server as well as the server in the United States. Is that normal?
It depends on what game it is, and it also depends on what it could be. It could be a lobby server. So
if you do have geofiltering on, it might just be pinging it for like network monitoring purposes, but it's not actually going to let you connect to it.
Yeah, and it also could be Xbox Live services or PlayStation services. So
yeah, so if you're noticing that like you're lagging a ton in certain lobbies, there might be something up. But as long as you have your geofence set around the server that you want to connect to, it should only connect you to that one. So I wouldn't worry too much about that as long as everything's set up correctly.
Yeah, as long and also is it making any difference in your ping or your latency? I mean, double check.
That's how you can tell, really.
Yeah, if it's not breaking anything, once again, sorry, if it's not breaking anything, then I don't really think that there's I wouldn't worry about it too much.
Exactly. Okay, cool. Question from Hamad, who asks, can Michael mention the network mapping program that we discussed? I think this was regarding like security breaches. Remember we talked about that?
That was actually to find out where an IP that's trying to ping your network, where it's actually coming from. And there's hundreds of apps that are available now that do it. But the one I mentioned a couple of weeks ago was called Visual Trace. And one reason why I liked it, and I know there's some competitors that do the same thing now, is it actually puts a map of the entire world up. and then it shows the ping line from where you're at and traces it back to where the originator is at each hop that it does. So you can see like it goes from in California here in San Jose, and then it jumps to, let's say, Arizona, then it goes to Nebraska, then over to New York, and then it crosses the Atlantic, hits somewhere in Germany, and then pops all the way up into Norway. And so it's fun to watch where it's actually going to, and interesting to see who's actually trying to ping your system.
Got it. Okay. Well, Hamad, hopefully that answers your question. Question from Dixon. Was the ReadyVault server ever intended to allow backups to 2 independent hard drives via the USB ports on the Nighthawk router? It seems to allow backup to 1 external hard drive.
Yeah, and it was really only designed for a single drive, because it isn't really meant as an entire backup solution for you. ReadyShare Vault was just designed as you wanted to keep certain files on your system backed up in another location, an attached USB hard drive to the router. And so it was a very basic thing. It was nice to use, but very basic, and it wasn't designed as a full backup solution. So they just had it intended for a single USB drive. And if you needed more room, you just put a larger USB drive in there, like I've had to do on mine a couple of times. I still use that feature on one of my laptops. But there's 1,000 programs that can do full backups and allow you to have scheduled backups for just portions of your drive going to one location, then another portion going to another location. So that's pretty much it.
You can get like a big bay if you want to have like a huge NAS storage. You could do some.
Hey, a Ready NAS, they're great storage devices. I've got my screen behind me. Otherwise, I'd show you the 3 that I have up on my shelf right now.
Yeah, I've got one too, and I really do like it a lot. I recently just sold a couple of laptops, like some old laptops I had, and I just threw it all on the NAS.
Yep.
And it's over Ethernet too, so it's transferring like really quick, which is great. So cool. So next question is a comment from Skill Nasty, who says there's no difference in my ping mapping. His ping usually stays around 50 to 60. Living in Ohio, I'm playing off of a server in Chicago. That sounds pretty par for the course, to be honest. I know a lot of servers are in Chicago. I personally have an XR 500, and whenever I play League of Legends here in the Bay Area, I get about 60 ping to Chicago. So, you're gonna have a lot of limiting factors when there is a dedicated server, especially if there's only one. Distance is just gonna have an impact. But 50 to 60 from Ohio to Chicago, that's pretty good. So you're probably getting about the best you can get. What's really key is it staying consistent. And if it's staying consistent, then you're in good shape. So cool. Let's see. Hamad wants to know if he can visually trace his own network.
Yeah, that would be a completely different type of program. This visual trace is meant to actually go out on the internet and do it. If you're looking for something that'll actually map out your network, we actually have some of that in our Nighthawk app, where you can at least see what devices are connected. I know in our pro gaming line, we with the Doom OS, it'll actually map out in sort of a star pattern on what your network is. And I'm sure that there's many third-party apps that you can download for iOS or Android that'll do basic mapping.
Totally. All right. We have a Bay Area shout out from Blending with Henry. We're all Bay Area. Well, actually, I lied. Darren's not.
No, I'm not.
He's in the cloud. He's in the stars.
Yeah, he's in space. He's on the ISS. NETGEAR is based in San Jose. So for us, in our past life, we were office goers. So we all are in the San Jose area.
Our subscribe thing is we're still having. Thanks for pointing that out, Kev. We'll have Angelo correct that. Apparently, our bell icon says this action is turned off for content made for kids.
Angelo, what up with that? Please fix it. I'm kidding.
Jeez. Wow.
Totally kidding. Let's see. Skill Nasty asks, do we have a pro gaming team? Not officially.
What exactly do you mean, like pro gaming team? We don't have a team per se that are pro gamers that we go out and compete. But we do work with influencers, and that's sort of on a case-by-case basis at this time. But we are working on a general influencer advocate program, which probably will be going live sometime in the next 2 months. So just stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
As always, we'll announce it here first.
And you already addressed Dan a little bit, but Dan, we did put the link or the email in the chat. So if you do need any more additional help, please email that and put hashtag stay connected in the header so we know that you're a Tech Support Live viewer, and we'll give you some special treatment. So Adrian asks, can any of the RAX routers be set up as wireless access points? Yes, they all can.
Yep, they all have the ability to go into AP mode.
Kendall says, with my CM1200, can I plug my PS4 or really anything into the extra Ethernet ports? And does it have similar security to a router? I mean, you could, but I would say ideally you want to plug them into your router if you can.
Yep.
There's
but yes,
some...
it would have the additional security that your router has. Any of the things that have router functionality in it, like the CM1200, will also have all the same security that you have on your routers as well.
Exactly. So hopefully that answers your question. And can I plug in my PS4 or really anything? Yes, you can.
Yeah, you can.
If you'd like.
Yeah.
Cool.
But remember, if you plug directly into your modem and you have a router plugged into the modem and other things are plugged into your router, they will be on what's called 2 separate subnets in your home. So some functionality, if you wanted to talk from something that's connected directly to your router over to something that's connected directly to your modem, there are some programs and some features that aren't going to talk across that because they're 2 separate subnets. And subnets are designed so you don't get a lot of crosstalk or chatter, and to separate portions of your network at home. So just remember that devices connected to the modem will not normally be able to see things that are connected directly to your router.
Yeah, so for example, if you put like a Apple TV on your subnet, you probably can't cast to it from your iPhone.
Yep.
You probably couldn't like do AirPlay. So to give it some context, that would be the case. So we're down to the last 10 minutes here. We just hit 12:50. I do want to remind everybody that if you are enjoying the show, please drop a like so that we can bring more people in and so that more people can see the VOD after the fact. We love to share knowledge and help as many people as possible. So that's always appreciated. And if you haven't subscribed, consider it and hit the bell icon so you can see when we're streaming. But yeah, down to the last 10 minutes. So if you have any questions, get them in now. We'll do some rapid fire responding. In the meantime, we have a question from Hamad. Any new repeaters with mesh that NETGEAR has released? Mentioned that a little earlier. Yeah, we are expanding our EAX line. Currently, we have 2 that are public, and we are expanding it. So keep your eye out on social media and on our store. Yeah. Angelo says that the content made for kids is off. I read multiple community threads with folks running into that issue. Well, it's not Angelo's fault, so I apologize for blaming Angelo.
It is not.
It is YouTube's fault. Susan needs to fix it. That's the CEO of YouTube. Well, we are... we're all caught up miraculously. It took us 51 minutes to catch up.
51 minutes.
So, with that being said,
what's
up,
more
guys?
Kind of nice. A couple more would be great.
Okay, well, we have a question now, so we don't have to stall.
Just a follow-up.
This is a follow-up from Ricky. My cable modem is an Aris Surfboard SB6141. Can I improve my internet with a CM1200? I don't have all the details on that particular modem, but short answer is going to be yes. I believe that's an older system.
Oh,
Surfboard.
yeah, it looks like it's a much older, modem, and it says it only does up to 345 megabits per second. So that's not even a DOCSIS 3.0 modem. Oh, actually,
Yeah.
no, it says it's DOCSIS 3.0, but it's giving the bare minimum for DOCSIS 3.0. So yes, if you actually upgraded to the CM1200.
Here's the best range sounds. Okay.
Oh, if you hear any voices, that's my Alexa talking to me.
She's freaking out.
She is. When you'd get a modem that's a lot more powerful to start with, and chances are you would probably get a little bit more speed out of your internet connection as well. If you're not maxing out your internet speed that your ISP is providing you to start with, this would help you actually get up to that maximum, possibly even more.
Yeah, totally. If you're gonna be getting, a good router and you pair it with something that's really old like that, you're really not getting your money's worth. Definitely, in upgrading your system, I personally am a advocate for upgrading everything at once. So, when I get a new modem, I get a new router, so on and so forth. And so you want to try to get those two technologies to be on par with each other. So
yeah, and those both of those technologies have different sort of development times and different sort of sort of upgrade times. So to get to the question, will we get an XR1000 with a modem? Probably not, because router technology changes much faster than modem technology overall.
totally.
You're going to see more routers than you're going to see modems. But I always suggest that upgrade your router about once every 2 years and upgrade your modem about once every 3 to 4 years, I would say. And then there's a question about AD. Did AD give way to AX, or is AD still being used? Even when AD was fab, I don't think anybody was using AD. So
no, AD was sort of a technological thing that they could do, but it never actually caught on, mainly because of the limitations. The nice thing is that AD ran at 60 gigahertz speed, which means very, very fast. You consider our routers are doing, 2.4 and 5. It's doing more than 10 times the speed that 5 gigahertz will do. So you could pump a lot of data through it. But because it was such high frequency, it did not like going through objects, which meant it was pretty much limited to the room that it was in. So there's only a certain number of applications that would make sense to have something like that. Right now, there are VR manufacturers that are looking at using AD as the wireless connection between wireless VR headsets and your system. So you can dump the cord and still get a lot of data going through. But that's a very specific application. And of course, you'd always be in the same room when you're using the VR. So the limitation of AD is not going to be a big problem. So AD was sort of an offshoot, not in the direct path between AC going to AX.
Yeah, it's not to say that AD was terrible. AD was actually pretty amazing, especially when you saw it work within the same room. It's just its limitations. It's that signal is just so high frequency, it just doesn't go anywhere.
I think only a couple consumer products even got made with AD, and it even used it, like a couple laptops and maybe a wireless card.
Yeah, that was about it. Yeah, and then AX came out, and AX is a little bit easier to make in a wide application for consumers. So yeah,
totally.
Unfortunately, yeah, VR it made sense for VR. It's just that VR is not not as popular as I mean, it's more popular than it was last year.
Yeah, but it's still not mainstream. It's still a niche. Still a niche market.
Still sort of underground.
Totally. Okay, well, we're down to the last couple minutes, so we're going to rapid fire these last questions. A lot of them have to do with suggestions, which is great because we can make this pretty quick. HB says, I'm looking for a new router. I have 1 gigabit internet speed. Which router should I get? I would suggest one of the higher end RAX routers, maybe the 120, maybe the 200. Those are pretty pricey though. You are going to find
if you're a gamer, the XR1000.
Yep.
There you go. If you're a gamer, XR1000. All the routers we just mentioned are rated for gigabit speed.
Yep.
So all are great considerations. But whatever you get, Wi-Fi 6. Make sure it's Wi-Fi 6. We are in 2020. Let's see here. Question from Skill Nasty. What is a good modem for the XR500? Go ahead, Ben.
Yeah, I would say CM1000 or greater.
And that was the exact thing I was thinking. Awesome. You get a gold star for the day.
Thank you. I've learned from the best.
Yeah. Try to get DOCSIS 3.1. You always want to be getting the new technology. So totally worth it.
And the 1000 is like now that we've got some new products that just came out and are just announced, the 1000 should be fairly affordable.
And there you go. XR1000 right there. You want to buy it.
Is Michael approved,
Yeah, I approve of that message.
Yeah. When you get something that's Michael approved, it's a good product. All right, so we're coming up to the top of the hour. We did catch up on all the questions. So just to reiterate, if you're enjoying the show, drop a like. We really appreciate it. And tune in next week. We do this every week for all the new viewers. It's an hour-long show every Friday from 12 to 1 Pacific time. We love to answer your questions, and this was a great hour full of a lot of questions, and we always appreciate seeing all the engagement in the chat and interacting with our customers and our fans. You guys have anything else to say?
Nope, just everyone has a nice, safe weekend.
Yeah, have a great weekend. What should the theme be for the backgrounds next week? I don't know. We'll leave it up to you guys. We'll put some comments in, and we'll see if we can accommodate next week.
Definitely, yeah. We could theme it every week. We could change the titles to something funny. I gave Michael a funny title, but maybe we all have some funny titles.
South Park next week.
South Park next week.
Yeah, let's do South Park. All right. But yeah, thanks everybody. If we can get just a few more likes and we get that up to 20 before we go, that would be fantastic. And
Ricky B misses the 2-hour show.
Yeah.
Ricky.
Well, you never know. We might do a holiday special.
We might bring it back one of these days. We are. We're all just.
It'll be
really busy right now.
Yeah, it's a really busy time. The Star Wars holiday special.
Star Wars holiday special. There you go. All right, everybody. Well, thanks again for tuning in. We're gonna close the show off. Blending with Henry. Excited to see you next week. And to anybody who plans to tune in next week, we'll see you then. But until then, take care. Have a safe weekend. Enjoy your time off, and we'll see you soon. Bye, everyone.
Yep. Talk to everyone later.
Thanks, everyone.